Welcome, friends, and Merry Christmas from Crime Time with DutyRon. Guys and girls, you know the drill. Ed and I are retired New York City police detectives, and if you like all things true crime related from the police detective's perspective, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so you'll get all things DutyRon and Ed Wallace when we go live or upload another video. Today, I want to just come live to say Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. Happy holidays to those who do not celebrate Christmas, and sending a lot of holiday joy and cheer along to each and every one of the Crime Time with DutyRon family members. Hey, I just want to also say quickly a special holiday thank you to all of our law enforcement across the globe that's out working on Christmas and the holidays. They work 24/7, 365 days to protect our freedoms. And we have to say, all of the first responders, EMS, fire, the nurses, the doctors, everyone that's in our health profession and health career profession, we give them thanks and praise for the work that they do day in and day out. And I want to say thank you to the moderators, the Patreon supporters, the channel members, and everybody here who positively engages. The replay viewers, you guys are awesome, and I couldn't do this without everybody here. So Merry Christmas. Let's say hello to a couple of people. Cecina, my good Italian friend, is saying hello to Agati. Wild Z Pony is in the building. I just heard a whistle from Popeye. He's right over there. It's Christmas time. He's got a bunch of Christmas toys. Dawn Marie, Doll, thank you so much. Hi, Annie, Shelly, Judy B. Angola is in the building saying hello. Thank you. Ray Kelly is here as well. Johnny Rocket is in the house. Merry Christmas. Hi, Laura, Miss Donna Marie. I mean, I could do this all day long with the highlights, but I know you guys don't want to hear me talking, but let's get into it. You know, the Moscow murders, the quadruple murders that happened November 13th has got us all shaken. And, you know, here we are over 40 days and still no closer than we were on the morning of November 13th. And, you know, we look at a lot of the past cases that have been covered here on Crime Time with DutyRon. Thank you, Cindy. Merry Christmas to you as well. Thank you, Cindy Holenbeck. Always appreciated, never expected, and thank you for the super sticker. You know, we look at some of the past cases that we've covered, and even Quentin Simon, the small little 20-month-old baby that was murdered by his mom, Leilani Simon. We look at that case and we demanded, and everybody was demanding that the police make arrests. And come on, you know, we have potentially a murderer on the loose, but we think we know who it is. It's no different in this case. Everybody wants a perp or a perpetrator, plural, perpetrators or perp in custody, male, female, multiple. Maybe it was a male and a female. Maybe it was one person. Maybe it was somebody local from the town. Maybe it was somebody who they met online. Maybe it was somebody from their university that they went to school with. We don't know. And that's what leads to this, you know, wild speculation online. And we're hearing that a TikTok person was accusing a professor, a female professor, of having an inappropriate relationship with one of the decedents. And this TikToker is being sued for defamation of character. We're going to get into that in a little bit. But I want to say thank you to everybody who's taken the time to come. It's going to be just 30 or 40 minutes here today on Christmas Day here in America. And we give thanks and praise to, again, the law enforcement who continue to work this case even during the holiday season. They don't get a break. The police chief is on call, the executives, the detectives, everybody from the state and the federal authorities are working this case. And we all hope, as Ray Kelly just said there, we hope an arrest is made soon, of course, because there is a horrific murderer or murderers, plural, that are out there. And for crying out loud, that is just, you know, if you're outside of the Moscow, Idaho area, and you're far away and you have distance in between you, it makes it a little easier to think about this and say, oh, you know, I'm not in any danger. But, you know, heinous, evil murderers are all over. Crime knows no boundaries. And I'll say that till I take my last breath, because I personally witnessed how heinous crimes get committed on a regular basis when I was a New York City police officer. You know, I worked in one of the busiest commands within the New York City Police Department, and I got to see what evil is all about. And over my 2+ decades of being in law enforcement profession, I know that crime knows no boundaries, and that's the truth. So if you think you're safe where you are, guess what? You may be safe, but you always have to know about what's going on around you and take the steps to keep yourself safe. And that's what this is all about. Let's listen to a piece from GMA. And on this piece, what I like about it is it covers a lot of different things. Hello, Ed Wallace. Good to see you, my brother from another mother. There he is. Ed Wallace says, and crime knows no holiday. Crime never takes a holiday. So amen to that, Ed. I like this piece, even though it's a day or two old, but this piece talks about a lot of different things in one little condensed segment. So let's play this piece and we'll all sit in and listen.
The University of Idaho. The campus is shutting down for the holidays with the killer still on the loose. And we're getting a new look at the so-called party house where the victims live.
Let me know in the chat if this volume is good by pressing a 1 in the chat. If you can hear this external audio good, press a 1 in the chat. Let me know. Help an old man out. Let me know if everything's good with the volume.
And hearing from one student who once lived there. Andrew Dimbert has the latest. Good morning to you, Andrew.
Good morning, Will. So we're getting some new insight into that gruesome crime scene and the house where the murders took place. We're now learning that police spoke with one of the victims on the phone about 2 months before the killings as part of a noise complaint.
This morning, as authorities search for the killer of 4 University of Idaho students, newly surfaced body cam footage showing a police-involved incident at their home 2 months before they were killed.
No one that lives here is here right now.
So where'd they go?
They're just not here. I have no clue where they went. No clue.
Authorities seen responding to a noise complaint in September, greeted by people who didn't live at the house. Officers then speaking with Maddie Mogen, one of the victims, by phone, who along with the other residents was not there at the time.
What's your first name? Maddie?
Could be. Maybe.
And how do you spell that, Maddie?
My legal name is Madison. It's Madison.
The video showing how many outsiders were able to access the property. And as the mystery grows over how the killer was able to get away unnoticed, a former student who graduated in 2022 and lived at the same house during his junior year talks about his experience there.
It's definitely an old creaky house. You can't walk up any of the stairs or on any of the floors without everybody in the house knowing it.
Cole Alternator says the building doesn't offer much privacy and was well known to students.
A lot of students are very familiar with the inside of the home around the community. There have been thousands of people that have likely been through it throughout the years. Even when we had it, there were people that would come and knock on the door or walk in thinking that it was somebody else's house.
Now, as the school closes for winter break, the house...
Hey, I wanted to stop that there because I know this is new. This is not a new interview. It's been out there for a couple of days now, but who was surprised by that? I mean, I'm going to raise my hand on this one because I was surprised because we heard up until this point that if you're on the second floor, you can't hear what's going on the first floor. And if you're on the third floor and you're on the second floor, you can't really hear much going up on the top floor. So this is like contradictory for me. And it comes from someone who lived inside the house. So I was just like things that make you go, right? And he talked about the house being creaky and an old house, and you can hear everything that goes on. So I don't know, man. I caught on to that, and I was just like, I'm not gonna go with this, but I'm gonna put it back in the back of my head, and I'm gonna stick it in my front pocket, so to speak. So let's let the rest of this play.
We've been through it throughout the years. Up any of the stairs or on any of the floors without everybody in the house knowing it.
Cole Alternator says the building doesn't offer much privacy and was well known to students.
A lot of students are very familiar with the inside of the home around the community. There have been thousands of people that have likely been through it throughout the years. Even when we had it, there were people that would come and knock on the door or walk in thinking that it was somebody else's house.
Now, as the school closed,
that is also a major takeaway from that is that, okay, we knew it was a party house, but now he's saying that even while he was there before they took took occupancy, that was an open party house known to everybody in the community, in the college community. And this makes it more concrete for me that there's a high potential that it could be somebody from the past that had access to the interior of that home and that knew it was a party house, that I can go in there unchallenged and just walk around and do my thing. And then add social media onto that, add the girls who are, just like any college student out there, they put themselves out there on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and all of the social media platforms. Now you can have some past college student who now is, in his later part of the 20s, going close to 20 and then maybe in his 30s, looking back at this and being like, hey, who knows? But that was an interesting thing that he said right there. So let's listen. I'll let the rest of this play. And then we're going to hear the police chief talk about working through the holidays.
Even when we had it, there were people that would come and knock on the door or walk in thinking that it was somebody else's house.
Now, as the school closes for winter break, the house and campus quiet. But police say their search for the killer will not slow down.
We're going to continue to push through the holidays. We have a team that will continue to do the investigation and work on that as we move through the holidays.
As the investigation continues and still no suspects named, police are apparently looking for a white car seen near the house the night of the killings. At the very least, authorities believe the people inside the car may have important information.
All right, so that's something that it's still on the radar, the Hyundai Elantra. Thank you, Coffee Cake. She says, sends in a $5 super chat, and she says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. Thank you. Why don't the police reenact that night with the officers who were on duty? We don't know that what they're doing behind the scenes. And thank you for that. That was a good question, and that was a good statement right there. They could very well be reenacting it, but they're not going to do it publicly. They're not going to do it on in a public platform. They're going to do it behind the scenes if they do something like that. But thank you, Coffee Cake. That is a very good idea. And I don't think that's not something that might not be on the table to law enforcement. So let's say hello to some of the folks who came in during the course of this. MK, Kimberly Culp. Hey, we did a great Christmas live stream for members only yesterday. For the members that are here, who was live with us and who watched that members only live stream that we did, it was really awesome. We played Christmas music. Ed Wallace came on by audio. We gave out a whole bunch of Christmas joy to everybody, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. So whoever was here, I think Princess Mitch was here. Donna got to watch it on replay. I know Lexi, I think, was there live with us. Thank you, Lex. Always appreciated. So yeah, listen, we have so many questions. I got so many questions. We talk about the September 1st body cam footage, and we saw a little snippet of it there. The police had to have had prior knowledge that this was an open kind of party house. That couldn't have been the first run-in with this location with noise complaints. I would love to see, as we would refer to it as the 60 sheets, and we would call it 61s. That was our terminology, cop terminology for a complaint report. So the 60 sheet is, when I refer to the 60 sheet, is meaning I'd like to look at the Moscow Police Department. I would like to look at their complaint reports that were filed in the course of 2022, 2021, and I would even go back as far as 2020 and look at those 60 sheets and see who was interviewed at that location, and then bring those guys or girls in for interviews, or go to them and interview them. Think about it. I would be looking at the 60 sheets, the press complaint reports of who was at that house, to question them. That's why this is so much work. There's just so much to it. So let's listen to Brian Entin. He interviewed the police chief. Hold on, I want to get the full interview, because there's actually one with here it is. I think this is it. I hope this is it. No. Yeah, so by a show of hands, who saw Brian Entin? He interviewed the police chief on, he was filling in for Abrams. So I'm going to play this, even though it's 5 minutes. Let's take a peek and listen to what Banfield had to say. This was a day ago. This was on the 40th day. So let's take a listen in on what she has to say.
Days since those kids were killed at that home on King Road. It has been 40 days since those kids were killed at that home on King Road. And tonight we're dissecting this case, what we know and how police may actually be moving forward. Just ahead, some of the top homicide detectives in the business of solving murders are going to join us. Plus, with just one full day left until Christmas, we are going to be honoring those lives lost on King Road. But first, one method that detectives use to solve a crime is to look back over all of their notes for something that may see differently now. They might just notice it a little differently now with the passage of time. And so we have done the same thing, and we've compiled this case for you from start to finish.
The facts of the case that we know right now. We know that these homicides occurred in the early morning hours of Sunday, November 13th. Around noon, Moscow officers received a call of an unconscious person. Officers discovered the bodies of Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogen, and Kaylee Goncalves inside the residence on King Road.
Just weeks ago, the 5 roommates were getting into the festive spirit, impersonating one another and posting the videos to TikTok.
Oh, Murphy, you look so cute. Get out of here. You seriously gotta get out.
But 3 of the 5 were killed. Madison Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, and Xana Kernodle. Kernodle's boyfriend, Chapin, spent the night and was also murdered. Investigators say they were all likely stabbed in their sleep. 2 roommates apparently slept through the whole ordeal, according to officials. Upon waking up the next morning, they first called their friends over to the house for help, believing one of the victims had just passed out. Then they called 911.
At this crime scene, we collected 103 pieces of individual evidence. We took approximately 4,000 photographs. We've conducted multiple 3D scans of the residence, and we have hundreds of hours used by technicians and investigators, including our forensics team and detectives from multiple agencies.
Police saying today that the investigation into the murders of 4 University of Idaho students is progressing. Law enforcement conducting 150 interviews and processing more than 1,000 tips. Among them, that 21-year-old Kaylee Goncalves had a stalker.
When I spoke to the prosecutor, he was very clear with me that they still have no suspects in this case.
Are there persons of interest and people that the investigators are looking at?
I think it's fair to say that there have been people of interest to the investigators, and everyone that they've identified so far, they've been able to exonerate. Perhaps exonerate isn't the best word, but they've been able to eliminate them as being an actual suspect.
An emotional vigil remembering the University of Idaho murder victims. With the killer still on the loose, security was tight, with metal detectors and police closely watching from the ground and from balconies inside the arena. The parents of the victims are distraught.
I would like to start by saying my name is Stacy Chapin. I'm Ethan's mom. The circumstances that bring us here tonight, they're terrible. The hardest part, we cannot change the outcome.
This morning, there's new information that could help solve the murders of 4 college students in Moscow, Idaho. Police are looking for a 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra just like this, but we don't know the license plate number. Investigators believe the driver was near the crime scene on November 13th, and they think the driver could have critical information about the case.
The tips and leads have just shown us that that car was there in that immediate area. So whoever was in that car may know who might have owned that car. Any of that information is extremely valuable to us right now because it could be really significant in solving this case.
Kaylee Goncalves was supposed to be among those in caps and gowns today, including many fellow members of the Greek system.
I'm really glad that the president brought them up, especially Kaylee. She was supposed to be here, so I'm just thinking about her.
It is eerily quiet at the University of Idaho. With graduation over and most finals moved online, there are almost no students on campus. 1 month after the brutal murder of 4 students, and their families are anxious for any information. Victim Kaylee Goncalves' parents met with the investigators just yesterday, according to their attorney. Have you or the family received any new updates on the investigation?
Well, part of our delay was we met with the investigators yesterday. The theme of the meeting was two things, was accountability and communication.
Attorney Shannon Gray says the family wants a more consistent stream of information from police. He says most of their questions about the investigation have still gone unanswered, but they are hopeful police are doing the right things. Hard to imagine what those families are going through, not only losing loved ones, but also just the frustration and anger that a suspect has still not been caught more than 1 month after the murders. As for that white car seen on video, it's grainy video. It's hard to tell whether that is actually even the model of the car that police are looking for.
We've said all along that we need people to be vigilant. We need people to pay attention because we're not sure exactly where the individual is.
Thank you for watching.
So that was a 40-day overview that they did, and they went back, quite a bit. So that was a nice piece. Brian, like I said, Brian had a full interview with the police chief, and I thought that I saved it. But I'm going to look now. Law and Crime did an unbelievable piece. And Law and Crime, they really do a great job with their coverage. And I reached out to Antoinette, and I'm going to try to get her to come on with Ed and I. But I wanted to go back to the 4,000 photographs and the 3D laser scans that they did inside that home. And Ed Wallace and I are going to get a 3D laser scan expert that's going to come on with us after the Christmas break. And he's going to come on with us and describe and show us a demonstration of 3D laser scans at crime scenes. Now, of course, the 4,000 photographs, the 3D laser scans, and all of that will be great when they have a perpetrator in custody for demonstration at a trial, and also helps them to put the pieces of the puzzle together and look back. So I'm going to play the Law and Crime piece because she will hopefully soon be gracing us with her presence, and it's Anjanette Levy. So Lauren Crine's Anjanette Levy, she did a nice piece on this, and I'm going to play it real quick for us, and then I'll be right back with you.
Idaho students were murdered in a home near campus. One of the victims' families issues a plea for tips through the mail. I'm Anjanette Levy, and welcome to Law and Crime's Sidebar podcast. Xana Kernodle's family mailed out 5,000 flyers this week to homes and businesses in the Moscow area with information about the tip line and how to submit video evidence to the FBI. This is the second time the Kernodles have done something with flyers. The first go around about a week after the murders, they passed them out around town and posted them in different areas. You will recall that Xana Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, Maddie Mogen, and Kaylee Goncalves were found murdered in the home on King Road near campus on November 13th. Kernodle's family has also established a scholarship at the University of Idaho in her name and in her memory. Joining me to discuss the very latest in this investigation is Aaron Snell. He's a public information officer for the Idaho State Police, which is assisting Moscow police with this investigation along with the FBI, and he's serving as a spokesperson for Moscow PD. Aaron, welcome to Sidebar. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me today. I appreciate it.
Aaron, what is the very latest?
So at this point in time, we're still processing through our tips and our leads. And we're really working on developing a full picture of what occurred the night of the incident and as well the nights before. We're trying to add context. That way our investigators really have a full idea of what occurred and which direction that they need to go.
The last time we spoke, when I was in Idaho, a couple of weeks ago, you said the picture was becoming more clear. A couple of weeks has passed now. How much more clear is that picture now?
Yeah, and we keep using this picture analogy, but it is true. The further we get into this, the more evidence that we receive back from our crime labs. We've been receiving it all along now. The more analytics that we have, the more that we're able to see really what occurred. Again, we use the word context. We're trying to develop context, talking with the various people that were around the victims that night. And we've done over 250 interviews. So really, we are getting a clearer picture as we go. The question then becomes, how long does it take to have a full picture? We're not sure. this is a very complex investigation, has a lot of different ins and outs on it. And so, from the crime scene itself to the fraternity house to the businesses downtown, there's a lot of things that we need to know, and there's potential for a suspect or suspects to be in any of the pictures or any of the videos. And so we really have to review things and take a real thorough look at this entirety of the crime.
Hey there, everybody. Jesse Weber here from Sidebar. On our next episode of Prime Crime,
It sounds like patterns from your leads and possibly from the video. And he was talking about how they are confident, you all are confident, that somebody in that Hyundai Elantra, the white Hyundai Elantra, between the years of 2011 and 2013, has information that is critical to this case. That to me sounds like, saying you're confident, you're pretty certain. And it sounds like that vehicle we've heard it was in the immediate area. And we've also heard through another spokesperson that it was there. How close was this Hyundai Elantra to the house?
So we haven't exactly specified, but we do believe that it was in the immediate area of the residence around the time frame that we believe, was the night of. And so we think that the occupant or occupants of that vehicle potentially saw or heard or knows something about this case. And so that's why we put the information out. The information came through tips and leads. And so as we processed it, we think that the occupant has some information to provide to us, which is why we put it out.
I've likened the search for this Hyundai Elantra to a search for the needle in the haystack. We know you've eliminated one of those vehicles as being the Elantra found in Eugene, Oregon, that had been involved in a vehicle crash that belonged to a woman, and it was registered out of Colorado. So you've already eliminated that one. That leaves 21,999 or so to go. So what's the progress on that? What's the update on working through?
I love that she asked this question, but we get disappointed with his answer. But let's listen in here.
That list of vehicles, because that's a huge number of vehicles. And, is that a nationwide list, or what can you tell us about that?
So I'll be a tiny bit more generic about it, but it is a list of vehicles that potentially could be in this area. It's received through all sorts of different sources and databases. And so as we look at that list, obviously, the ones that could be close to the area might be important. And then as the ripples and as that gets a little further out, maybe those vehicles potentially would be less likely to be involved in an incident of this nature. And so, we're able to, as we go through this list, we're looking for, again, different patterns and different trends. And so as we're putting it all together, we're hoping that something will come to light and that we'll be able to use that to move forward.
We noticed, too, in one of the recent updates that about 14 FBI agents have been added to this case. Can you tell us why that number increased from last week from 46 to 60?
So really what we tried to do when we put out those numbers is give people a snapshot in time of what's occurring in this investigation. That's why we update the number of tips and the number of leads and the number of digital images and those types of things that we receive. We would like the public to understand the volume of information that we're processing and the number of people who are currently working on this case. So,
again, I'm going to bring it back because we get questions asked by the media, but unfortunately, to keep the integrity of this investigation, they can't answer them. So again, I'm happy that he agreed to that interview, but it leaves everybody also still holding the bag. And I don't think that we will be able to get much information because, again, if they release too much information, that could be the difference between a successful prosecution and having someone arrested and then subsequently released. And that's not a good thing. No, nobody would be happy if they arrested somebody and then released them. So that would be a big no-no. So I want to say thank you to everyone who has joined here today. I'm not ending because I got another piece to show you, but I wanted to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a happy and healthy New Year coming up. And if those of you who are alone and at home, I thought that this was a great idea for us to go live and provide maybe 30-40 minutes of some company for those of you who are sitting at home and that have maybe illness or family that have fallen sick. I know my niece, she's a nurse, at a heart hospital, and she's sick, so we didn't get a chance to see her. So she's sick. Her husband's sick. So my niece and her husband, again, were unable to visit with us. I want to show you the piece of Brian Entin. He interviewed the chief for like 5 minutes. Again, the chief was unable to give Brian some answers, but I think that this is a good one. By a show of hands, has anybody here seen this interview? Brian Entin is home now, and he's in the studio in a suit and tie, and he filled in for Dana Abrams, and he did an interview with the Moscow police chief. Anybody see that? By a show of hands, just let me know. Iris Hewlett is sick. I hope you feel better. Cindy saw it. Mystique did not see it. So there's some people who have seen this interview and some people who haven't. Agati, I'm grateful that you're here with us. I mean, this is not about me. This is about us. So my wife agreed to give me an hour, kind of go and do your YouTube, but be back, because we got some preparing to do, because tonight is a big night for us, and we're going to be getting together again with our family, and lots of dinners, a lot of things. Us Italians like to do Christmas big. So we got a lot to do. So I'm going to sneak this in. Let's do this. Let's listen to our good friend, Brian Entin, who coincidentally, who saw Brian as he made his appearance on Crime Time with DutyRon. That was great that he graced our airwaves, and he will come back again. We'll have Brian back on again. For those of you who saw that live stream with me and Ed Wallace, I thought that was a great one. So let's listen to what he had to say.
Police Chief James Fry. With Moscow Police Chief James Fry. Chief, thank you so much for being with us. It's been almost 6 weeks now since the murders. I know you're getting hundreds of tips still coming in every day. Are you getting closer, Chief, to finding the killer or killers?
We're continuing the investigation. We're continuing to push on. We have, like I said from the very beginning, I'm very confident that we will have a conclusion to this. A timeline, that's going to be as things develop, and we're following up on all those leads.
The latest I heard, you've done 250 interviews, your detectives, which is an enormous amount of work going on behind the scenes that obviously the public can't see. And I know there's a lot you can't talk about, but can you tell us whether you're zeroing in on one or two people at this point?
Like we've said through the whole investigation, there's things we have to keep for the integrity of the case, and we're going to continue with that. We are interviewing a lot of people, and we're gathering a lot of information, and we're putting that puzzle together, and we're painting a picture, and we're trying to put that all together.
I've sort of thought about this, Chief. The fact that you've got so many resources there in the FBI and technology, and the resources from the feds. Should we assume that this was almost someone almost like a professional who knew what they were doing? Because it seems like if this was just some college kid, surely that person would have been tracked down by now.
So I think there's some misconception out there with how we operate here in Moscow. We've called in ATF in the past. We've called in the FBI in the past on many of these big cases, because they have resources that we don't. And we want to have the best investigators there. That's why we call in the state police from the very beginning of these as well. So we've always done those type of investigations with the help of our federal partners as well as our state partners.
And you mentioned calling in the state police at the beginning.
Did anybody notice that Brian Entin asked, is this the work of a professional? I can't help and overemphasize that I saw that about 10 times in the chat today here. I saw people put in the chat, hey, DutyRon, do you feel like it's a professional hit? And Brian Entin, who pays attention to online sleuths and internet chatter, asked that question to the police chief. Did anybody see what the answer was to that? He didn't answer it because they don't know. But I thought that was interesting. I thought it was interesting that Brian asked that. This seems Like the police chief said, we are working hard. And then Brian asked, is this a professional? This seems like this could be this is the work of a professional. And he went on to talk about how they utilized the ATF in the past, the FBI, and other agencies. But he didn't say anything directly to that question. He actually sidestepped it, and he didn't answer it. He didn't say he called the ATF on this case. He said we have called the ATF in the past. So let's listen.
Here in Moscow, we've called in ATF in the past. We've called in the FBI in the past on
almost like a professional, the resources from the feds. Should we assume that this was almost someone almost like a professional who knew what they were doing? Because it seems like if this was just some college kid, surely that person would have been tracked down by now.
So I think there's some misconception out there with how we operate here in Moscow. We've called in ATF in the past. We've called in the FBI in the past on many of these big cases because they have resources that we don't. And we want to have the best investigators there. That's why we call in the state police from the very beginning of these as well.
And I give a lot of credit to the Moscow Police Department because they immediately called in the state crime lab. The lieutenant, you heard, actually the captain said immediately we called the Idaho State Police because we knew that we couldn't process this crime scene on our own. We needed the help of the Idaho State Police in the crime lab. And that was good police work. That was good, right on the spot decision making from the get-go. So I tip my cap to them for calling in and not having swelled egos and saying, no, we'll handle this on our own. No. They brought in the state, the feds, and they also went to Pullman Police and all of the surrounding, we call it mutual aid. They utilize mutual aid, and mutual aid is all of the surrounding departments were all deployed and sent to the scene for backfill. So kudos to the Moscow police for knowing and asking for that help and recognizing that they were in over their heads with a quadruple murder.
We've always done those type of investigations with the help of our federal partners as well as our state partners.
And you mentioned calling in the state police at the beginning. One concern that we've heard from the Goncalves family attorney is he has questioned how the investigation was handled in the first 48 hours. He says perhaps there was more that could have been done immediately after the murders. Do you think things were handled properly right at the beginning? I mean, do you have any regrets about the way things were initially handled?
I do think they were handled properly. We secured the scene quickly. We called in the state police. We did our due diligence in getting the things that we needed to do to, have this be a solid case all the way through. We called in the state lab to collect evidence. And I believe that it was the initial stuff that we started and how we did things that will help bring this to a conclusion.
And, school's out now, winter break at University of Idaho. I believe the kids come back on January 11th. We've heard from parents who are worried, saying, maybe I'm going to keep my kids home or have them do online school. What do you say to those families that are concerned about sending students back?
What I've always said is we're a very proactive police force. We're out and about. We're on campus a lot. We're out doing patrols. But personal safety, people do need to pay attention to their surroundings. People need to make sure that they watch out for one another. But we want the students to come back, but we also want them to feel safe. So that's going to be a family decision, I think, on a lot of those parents and kids.
Is there any way of
Let me just stop this just for a second and say hello to Diana Iron. It's Naomi's mom. She, I believe, is in South Africa. Her daughter was a victim also to a heinous murder. We covered that case in 2022. So I want to send my strength, prayers, and positive vibes to you, your husband, your children, and everybody in your entire family on behalf of this community here, Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, we send you nothing but strength and love, Diana. Our hearts, our souls, and everything that we have are with you and your family during these difficult times with the holiday season. So, love and respect. Let's go back to this.
Knowing right now, and again, I know there's things you can't say, but of whether this this murderer is still in the area or may be far away by now?
Like I said, we're not disclosing any of that, but there's some of that we just don't know at this point. We're still trying to put everything together. We've said all along that we need people to be vigilant. We need people to pay attention because we're not sure exactly where the individual is.
The white Hyundai Elantra that's obviously gotten so much attention, people all over the country looking for it. Should they still be on the lookout? I mean, do you think you've gathered what you need in terms of that car, or are you still wanting people to call in?
We still are asking people to call in on any spotting of white Elantra. You know, we appreciate all the tips that we've gotten, not only from local Moscow, but state, but across the nation. And we're following up on all those. So every tip helps. Like I said, we don't know exactly which tip is going to be the one that really secures a piece of information that we're looking for, but we're looking into all those.
I've been outside the house quite a bit over the last month. I saw on, it was 2 days ago, there were some detectives that showed back up to the house. Any idea how long you'll keep that a crime scene the way it is all roped off?
Not exactly sure. You know, we're working with investigators to verify when they're ready to release that, but as soon as we can release it, we will.
And I know how hard everyone has been working, again, behind the scenes. You have so many detectives on the case, and the feds and the state troopers who are there. Obviously, a lot of people working the case have families and kids. I know you've mentioned before that there's young officers that first showed up to the crime scene, and it was emotional for them. I mean, how's everybody doing at the department?
You know, I think we're doing well. Actually, you know, we're very committed. We're committed to this. We've said all along that we will push through, and you know, we're giving people time off as needed and giving them a break and getting them back. But we're keeping people healthy, and we're going to continue to push on this. We're committed to this.
Well, Chief Fry, we appreciate your time. I know how hard everyone's working. I know the families appreciate the hard work, and thanks for coming on tonight.
What a great interview. Brian Entin is a consummate professional, and again, that was, I thought, you know, pretty thorough. He asked some tough questions. And again, I just want to circle back to, you know, we cover dozens and dozens, and sometimes more than dozens and dozens of additional crime cases over the course of a 365 calendar year. Over those 365 days, we could go through dozens and dozens of cases. But I always say this at the end of every show: we send strength, prayers, and positive vibes to every crime victim's families across the globe. And that includes the Iron family, and that includes the Petito family, and that includes everyone and anyone who's experienced horror in the way of a death or a murder of a family member. And no parent is supposed to bury their child. The children are supposed to bury the parents, and that's how it's supposed to be. But unfortunately, it doesn't go that way. So again, you know, this is a prime example of a victim's family here on Christmas in the United States. You know, I know in South Africa it may be a day forward, but you know, Naomi's mom is here in the chat and blessed us with coming on and coming on to Crime Time with DutyRon. So again, thank you to everyone who sent her well wishes and positive vibes. That was really awesome. You guys are, again, what I say is you guys are what makes this a great community. So let me just put up on the screen real quick a press release. So this is the presser from December 20th from the Moscow Police Department. And I'm going to make it a little larger so everybody could see it. Let me know in the chat if you guys can see this good, if you could see it clear. I think that's the best possible scenario right there. All right, so that's pretty good, right? let me see some of ones in the chat if you guys could see this good. So it's from December 20th, 2022 for immediate release. Moscow homicide update as of 4:30 p.m. This is addressing the Elantra, and they are saying that the public is being asked to stop contacting the owner of this vehicle. Moscow Police Department on their original release is providing information to the public for the murders that occurred on November 13th, and they have a video update and a clickable link. I suggest that you guys go over to www.ci.moscow.id.us/document center and go and look periodically for the updates. And in this last paragraph, they said investigators continue to process and working through more than 7,600 email tips. We know that that's over 10,000, 4,313 phone tips, and we know that's over 5,000. 4,583 digital media submissions. Those numbers are higher now, and have conducted over 250 interviews. Investigators believe someone has information that adds context to what occurred on the night of the murders, November 13th, 2022. And continue to request additional pictures, video, social media content. Our focus remains on the investigation, not an individual's activities displayed in a tip. So, again, this is an important line. It says our focus remains on the investigation and not an individual's activities displayed in the tip. So, there it is. I appreciate each and every one of you who has joined us here in this 47 minutes. I want to just say thank you to all of the subscribers. And if you're not yet subscribed to Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, consider hitting that little red subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you'll get all things DutyRon and Ed Wallace when we go live or upload another video. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. We're on TikTok. So TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all things social media, one word, DutyRon, so you can stay up to date on everything that we're doing. Merry Christmas and a healthy, first and foremost, without your health, you have nothing, and a healthy new year. Again, reach out and touch someone that you may know that's elderly, that's sick, that's home alone. Today, every day, reach out to some of the folks that you haven't spoken with in a while, in your family or friends list. Just a simple text makes a really big difference in people's lives. So please reach out and touch someone and, let them know that you care about them, because that makes a world of a difference. And you don't know what someone's going through at this time of year. Many of us have individual struggles that we don't really show on the outside. We keep it on the inside. And if you sense that someone's going through something, reach out to them. Please, I beg of you. All right. So on behalf of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, I want to say thank you again. And I can't say thank you enough, because thank you means everything. A simple thank you means everything. And if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it at all. When you're on social media, when you're in someone's DMs, when you're typing a message to somebody, if you have nothing nice to say, consider keeping it to yourself. Leave people alone and don't be bullies out there. Love and respect from Crime Time with DutyRon. God bless the world. God bless the United States of America. And God bless each and every one of us here in the chat. But especially these 4 victims and their families. The community of Moscow, Idaho needs us. The police, the community members, the staff, everyone that's working in the Moscow area to try to get to a conclusion. They need our strength. All the past victims of crime and their families, we send you all of our love and positive support. God bless, and we'll see you soon. Merry Christmas, everybody. Love yous.